Possession crucial from this. How much longer will the referee allow? Dublin lead by a point, and there's the whistle. It's over. It's over.
We earned it by winning the last 2 matches on the road, and that's not going to be taken away from us.
But what I love in hurling, I love players that will never give in.
He hits it. He hits it. It's over the bar. Oh, holy Moses.
Hello everyone and welcome along to the RTE GAA podcast, looking back on the penultimate round of the Alliance Hurling League. Shane McGrath is with myself and Rory to look back on what was a fairly entertaining and high-scoring weekend. So just to bring you through the results in Division 1A, Kilkenny 119, Tipperary 225, Clare 23 points, Cork 620, Limerick 127, Galway 18 points. We'll start, Shane, with the Tipperary Kilkenny game, and as I'm sure a very happy Tipperary man, lots to chat through in terms of their positive performance. But I guess the biggest talking point of the weekend, when you see 4 red cards in any game, you know there's been a problem. And not for the first time, head-high contact has become the talking point of the weekend. And I'm glad you raised it now last weekend when we were chatting on the podcast, because it does seem it's even gotten worse since we chatted about it the last time.
Yeah, it wasn't the kind of motion of head-high tackles we were trying to do, but it turned out that way, really. Kilkenny and Tipp, even going back to the minor game last year, there was 3 red cards there as well. So Kilkenny and Tipp, there's definitely no love lost. There's a great rivalry there as well. So, but it's a healthy rivalry. It always has been down through the years, and everything is left on the field, and that's the way it was yesterday, I'm sure, with both sets of players. And even you can see the way Liam Callum went up to Derek Ling afterwards. I'm sure, we don't know what he said, but I'm sure it was, look, sending offs. Kind of, it was what it was. It ruined the game, but I'm sure there's no bad feelings, Jacqui, is what I'm trying to say, between Tipp and Kilkenny after it. So to go through them then, and we can talk about the hurling then, but I suppose the red cards are the main talking point. I was actually down in Ennis, and the graphic with TG Carr put up, I suppose, the little red card, and then the number was going up 1, 2, 3. If you clicked out for a second, you thought, right, there's obviously something wrong with the screen here, but we see what's going on. I just go through them individually and maybe get your feelings on it. So first one for me, first one is Alan Tynan. Again, I suppose it brought back memories maybe of 2019 with Richie Hogan and Cathal Barrett. Very, very similar thing. Didn't catch King Kenny, I think it was. But again, what we said last week was I just think players can't put themselves in a position where the referee has to make the decision, and that's what Alan did. I know he was very maybe disillusioned when he got sent off, but at the end of the day, if you did catch him, it's just something big is going to happen. Something big is going to happen if someone meets full on. We'll talk about the Gaelic grounds in a few minutes, but the intent was there, and Sean Stack had a call to make, and he made the right call. And that's me as a Tipp person saying he made the right call. I know he didn't catch him, but just don't put yourself in that position. So that's the first one. The second one, Dave Blanchfield, I just think is just. It's just not thinking at all. It's just a moment of madness from David Blanchfield. He's on a yellow card, but he gets a straight red, and rightly so. He struck out with the hand, and he threw a slap at the helmet. And I just say he's looking back at it this morning, thinking, "What was I doing?" So that was well deserved. If we go on then to Mikey Carey again, like even before he kind of maybe pushed with the hands, if people watch it back again, a Hurley did appear to come in between the legs of one of the Tipp players. Whether that was going to be used with intent, we don't know. But again, Sean Stack is seeing that he struck up with the hands, and I would agree with what Liam said last night in the Sunday game. I think the intent was there to strike out. It's a red card. And then the Jordan Malloy one, I suppose, is he's on a yellow card. I think where Jordan Malloy is hard done by is the first yellow he gets. And I think the lad said that last night. Yeah. Mikey Breen's coming out, it's just kind of a flick. There's nothing major, I don't think it warrants a yellow card, but I suppose by the letter of the law and with the pressure the ref's under, it's a yellow card. So that's where he got sent off. It actually wasn't the second one. The second one's fully deserved. He clips Owen Connolly in the helmet. That's a yellow card all day long. So maybe that's where he is. So if I go down through them, do I agree with all the sendings off, even though there was 4 of them in Nolan Park? I do, to be honest. And not everyone might agree with that, but that's the way I feel. And I'm sure they were told about it. The lad's argument last night, maybe if the refs are talking about it, then maybe make managements aware about it. Maybe even get refs to come in and talk to some of the inter-county panels, which does go on, like in hurling football, camogie and ladies football, to say, this is what refs are looking out for now. This is what you need to really, really work hard on. And all these players across all codes, they know how to tackle properly, lads. So some of the tackling that's going on, they're physically strong enough to have arms out, keep them strong. But if you wrap in or you go in with the shoulder, head high, again, what I'm saying, like I said last week, you're putting yourself in a position where the referee has to make a decision, and now it's going to be on the side of you're looking at a red card.
Can I ask you a question though, Shane,
Yeah.
right? You're saying there that the refs are coming into panels and talking about it, but yet they're not being refereed the same way. So Sean Stack yesterday gives those red cards, and I agree with you. I think nobody can complain about any of them really. But then on Saturday night, similar incident, James Owens doesn't give a red card for what is a very similar incident. And
Worse,
I think
worse than what we saw, really,
yeah.
Jacqui.
So I think that's the difficulty for me, Shane, that I think you're absolutely right that the players need to understand what's a red, what's not. But also, so do the referees. Otherwise, we're all in difficulty here.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. And that's where the consistency thing comes in with them. Like I say, if you look at Sean Stack and Liam Gordon, they threw out 7 cards between them, 7 red cards. Okay. And the most stonewall red card of the weekend was in the Gaelic grounds, like Conor Cooney and Mike Casey. And that's the one that didn't get the red. So yeah, I understand where the players and the management, there needs to be more consistency. And look, players make mistakes and they get pulled up in it in the form of they get dropped and they don't maybe play, or they might get their chance again. Managers make mistakes, they get absolutely lambasted. Refs make mistakes, they do get lambasted as well and everything. But there probably needs to be a kind of a repercussion for them as well. What is it in the form of, look, you're going to sit out next weekend now. You're not going to do a match because that was a big mistake you made. If it was a player and they made the mistake, they'd be sitting out. So maybe the refs have to be saying as well, look, you made a mistake here. We understand it's a hard thing to do. It's a very, very hard thing to do, to ref the fastest game in the world played on grass. But if you make a mistake, maybe there needs to be some repercussions for it. Because at the moment, there probably isn't too many in regards of making a panel or, getting the big game or getting the league final and things like that. So, yeah, I understand what you're saying, Jacqui. I think most county panels, if they're having an A versus B or an internal game, they probably will look towards getting an inter-county ref in and, probably be learnings. But look, if this is what one of the big things we get out of the league is that it's getting clamped down and players realise it's just not being accepted or tolerated, I think it's definitely worthwhile.
Yeah. I'd love to get your take on it, Rory, as well, because I do think Shane is right. We had heard that they were going to clamp down on it. There was going to be more, but the consistency of it has to be better for the championship.
And is it a case that they need a little bit more help? I mean, you and I, we hate bringing it up, but we do work on rugby, whereby, I mean, particularly in Division 1A and 1B, where you will have largely cameras at the games for the most part. And it is also where the highest degree of danger is, because you're talking about lads that are developed to such a level. These are car crashes like that are people are running into each other with elbows and shoulders into the head. Now, look, as we mentioned this before, Jacqui, about class action lawsuits in the NFL. There's a class action lawsuit coming in rugby, which is possibly existential for rugby if this ends up going through the courts and finding in favour of the claimants. And one of the reasons that rugby is being so diligent around it is because they're trying to mitigate against whatever judgment is coming down the tracks. If a young man in a couple of years' time, and he's constantly getting headaches and constantly getting dizzy spells, and all of a sudden his career prospects are affected, or he's not able to do the things that he would ordinarily do, and he decides to take a claim, and all of a sudden there's someone else with the same issue, and they go in and they basically talk to their solicitors and they decide to take a claim. And what's the GAA's defence going to be? Well, we told referees now to, be a bit tighter this weekend, because if they're tight this weekend, now hopefully that'll cut it out. This needs to be zero tolerance. I 100% agree with Shane. Tiny is not a dirty player, but the intent was there. Like, I heard some people mention he didn't make contact. That's immaterial. That is, he could have absolutely opened his head up with that elbow or shoulder had he done so. So to my mind, it was a red card because of the intent. Now they'll say, oh, well, you don't know what his intentions were. Don't go for these Hollywood hits that players seem to be intent on going for. It just needs to be clamped and stamped out. End of story. I don't even understand this rubbish, which I will say is rubbish coming from some of the managers, saying the referees need to come in and explain to us. What needs to be explained to you around elbows and shoulders to the head. There's no explanation required there. You don't need to be told anything from any referee to be able to tell your players, listen, lads, you have to cut this out. Stop doing it. Don't go for it. Because if you do, you're going to get a red card. And the situation on Saturday night, I do feel a little bit of sympathy for James Owens. But I'm not entirely sure if all the referees are on the one page here. There was a very interesting cutaway yesterday during the Tipperary Kilkenny match where Johnny Murphy's on the sideline standing next to Derek Lyng. Now, I'm not a lip reader, but when it cut away, I have a feeling he used the word, ooh, harsh. He made this sort of gesture to Derek Lyng that he didn't necessarily agree with the decision that Sean Stack had made. And Sean Stack is an excellent referee in his own right. Now, maybe Johnny Murphy was running the line yesterday because he didn't give the red card that should have been given the week before for Cian Kenny's hit on Kieran Joyce. At what stage are the GAA going to get real here? Managers running around whinging about this referee didn't say this to me or this referee didn't say that. This is a no-brainer. You cannot do this. This is going to cause somebody a serious, serious injury, and it is going to happen sooner rather than later, and it needs to be stopped. And if in the short term, it means a situation like Alan Tynan or one or two lads end up getting sent off because they just barely didn't make contact, well then so be it. Because if it creates a better culture and better understanding that this is just something that's not acceptable in the game, then the game is going to be better for all. Because ultimately, Jacqui, like you and I work in rugby, as we say, rugby is facing an existential crisis. It's facing an existential crisis at underage level because they can't get people to play the sport. Why is that, Jacqui?
For that reason you've just outlined,
parents don't want their children playing rugby because they don't think it's safe. Do we want that same message going out for hurling? Hurling is I'm coaching an under-11s team, right? I'm ad nauseum saying this is a safe sport. It's safe. Don't worry, it's safe. It's a safe game. But stuff that we see at inter-county level and then the apologists don't help that cause.
Yeah. The one thing I would say, Shane, right, and I'm conscious I don't want to get bogged down on this for a half an hour either, but I do think it is hugely important. When Richie Hogan got sent off in an All-Ireland final for intent, like what we're talking about, what happened with Alan Tynan, everybody said, this is a turning point in the game. There's going to be a change. The zero tolerance is coming in. This is what's going to happen. Nothing has changed. Yeah. And that was 6 years ago. Yeah. And in the meantime, nothing has been done to help the referees. That is the argument that I would make. And I genuinely feel for referees having to make those calls in an instant without any help from technology. I genuinely think if James Owens saw that replay back of Conor Cooney's hit on Mike Casey, I think he might have felt a bit differently about it. But unfortunately, he's being pressed into making a decision in a split second when he's running from behind the play. It's very hard for him to see what's happening, and it's guesswork between him, his umpires, and his linesmen, because I genuinely think until we allow them to have some support, then we cannot keep running down blind alleys here and looking for help, because it is not coming unless we embrace it. I genuinely believe that.
Yeah, I agree with you, Jacqui. Yeah. And I think it's like anything in life. Everything's fine till something happens, right? And people can say, we're going to ruin the game and all this. What if the day comes in a big inter-county game that's televised and you've everyone watching it and someone breaks their neck?
Exactly.
And they're laid out.
Yeah.
And then the whole thing changes. Like, the whole thing changes because it happened. But I think rather than be reactive, if we can be proactive with this, like, and just go to zero tolerance. I suppose the ironic thing, lads, is these hits weren't going in when lads were wearing no helmets.
Yeah.
The hits are going in, people maybe feel the helmets are there and they're going to protect you and all this. When there was no helmets, you did see lads, getting hit across the head with hurleys, and helmets are there, and I'm all for the helmets. You know what I mean? They've saved more than they've caused. But like, maybe lads look at that too, and players in general say, look, the helmet's on, we can go in at this, there's a bit of protection there. And I just think it probably is time for change, Jacqui. And I've said it before, sometimes the only thing people really want to see changed is a baby's nappy. Yeah. And after that, then they're just not open to change because they think it might be ruin things. But I think technology is there, and the technology is there to the degree now where it won't take too long.
Yeah,
you can get it back in seconds now. And I know hurling is a very fast game. We love it. And as I said, fastest game in the world played in grass. People don't want to see it slow down too much. But at the end of the day, what do they want then? Do they want to give the next week talking about a red card, or do they want to give 20 to 30 seconds for a ref to make a decision, maybe with the aid of technology? I would be for using a bit of technology, not for everything, but for the big calls like that. Then I suppose people will say, Jacqui, do you need that in club games?
You don't, though.
That's a kind of a grey area. I don't think you do.
Well, we don't have that in rugby, for
You know,
instance.
you don't
Or soccer,
soccer,
any sport. Yeah.
So you don't have VAR in League 3, do you?
You don't have VAR, Shane.
You
you don't have VAR in the League of Ireland.
So there you go. So like I said, I think for the top games that everyone's watching, everyone loves watching, I would be for using it, Jacqui. Yeah, I agree with both of you. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Let's move on to the games. And in terms of, I suppose Tipp Kilkenny, anytime you have cards like that, it's obviously going to impact the game, right? So I totally take it that the result is impacted by that. But with Tipperary, Shane, we felt that they were coming, that they were going to produce something. And I think even withstanding all the cards on the day, I still think they would probably feel they were the better team and it was a deserved win.
They were, Jacqui, and I'll just give you the scoreline when Ellen Tynan got sent off. It was 2-15 to 111 to Tipp. Tipp were up by 7 points. Tipp were in control of that game. Even the Kilkenny goal just for half time, it'll be a mistake that they'll look back on and they'll feel that was avoidable. But I mean, Tipp were 7 points up. When Mikey Carey gets sent off, Tipp are 5 points up. When Jordan Malloy gets sent off, Tipp are still 5 points up. So obviously, if you look at Ronan Maher's last score, even it's just a matter of they're pinging the ball around and the amount of space he has. It's very hard on pitch for players as well to kind of just to reset and go, Jeannie, they've only 12 players. How are we going to work this?
Where's
Do we
the space?
Yeah. I mean, look at Kilkenny Miners last year. They were they had 2 men up. And look, as young lads, maybe they just didn't know how to utilise that space. So that can be hard, and that's where you've no more 4 in an hour either. So it really is, you are passing the buck over to the players to say, you need to organise this. And like, no matter how much preparation you do, it's very, very hard to prepare as a team for 3 players getting sent off. So I thought Tipp reacted well there. I think Noel McGrath came on, showed everyone that he's just still a class act and always will be. 3 or 4 touches of the ball, has an assist, 2 points from play. That's just Noel in a nutshell. I just think, even Craig Morgan is growing in confidence, just as a midfielder myself, to have the confidence to actually take on a goal. Like I was looking at third for Tipp, 10, 11 years midfield. I never once even had a shot at goal, I'd say. But that's where he's at now in terms of the confidence he's after gaining from the league, that he has the confidence now as midfielder to take on these players and to go and take a shot. Will Owen Murphy feel he can save it? He probably will. Like, he's one of the best goalies of all time. But fair play to Craig for getting on the score sheet. We had 3 19-year-olds that played yesterday, and the form of Sam O'Farrell was immense. Oisín O'Donoghue got a brilliant goal, and everybody knows who Darren McCarthy is now, Jacqui. Like, that's just the league he's had. Robert Dial has been brilliant for us. We're getting a very steady spine. So we won't get too carried away, but at the end of the day, going down to Nolan Park, no matter what happens or doesn't happen down there, Tipp, we don't win there that much. So to come away with a victory, it'll be all the talk will be about the red cards. But internally in the Tipp camp, it'll be about, what, lads, when it was pushed up to us, we heard well. We won the game, and it's not our fault what happened, and we reacted well. And I think there'll be a very happy camp this week off now. Watch Limerick a Kilkenny game, and it's all in their hands to be in a league final, which at the start of the year, Jacqui, myself included, I would have found it hard to see. But these young lads have come on. Liam Cahill has got them together, Mikey Beavens, all of them. They've mixed very well. They're working like dogs, and there's, I mean this in the best way, the Tipp public are behind this team now because they see the honesty, they see the intent in them. If I just talk about Kilkenny quickly, for me, we'll talk about Limerick in a few minutes, but no more so than what Will O'Donoghue is to Limerick. As in, he is the Roy Keane to Limerick's team. Like, he just, watch when he goes off and how the game changes the other night compared to maybe other players. He for me, is the heartbeat of that Limerick team. And that's a hard thing to say with the likes of Keane Lynch, Kyle Hayes, Diarmuid Burns, Gillan and all these. But Will O'Donoghue's the man. Hugh Lawler is the man for Kilkenny. And I just think when he's out, I just don't think they have anyone to replace him. Pádraig Moylan came in, he did his best, but like our Tipp, is Darren McCarthy getting around Hugh Lawler to get the assist for Oisín O'Donoghue? Probably not, if Hugh Lawler is there. So I just think when he's not there, it's probably a worry for Kilkenny, as in they don't have someone to replace him, Jacqui. And even, they need Adrian Mullen back. They need Owen Cody. They're still looking to TJ. He's still class. He caught one ball over Mikey Breen yesterday, and I don't know that people realise what age TJ is like. I think TJ is 36, 37. There's lads give up club hurling at that age because they just can't keep it going for one reason or another with the body. And like, he's the best player of all time for me. I've said it loads of times. He's still class. But if they're still looking to a 36-year-old to do the business for him at Intercounty, albeit he's the best ever in my opinion, there is some questions now that they're going to have to answer. And, they have Limerick coming now next week, who, regardless who Limerick are starting or not starting, Jacqui, the internal competition there is what's driving them right now, okay? And they're going to be without David Blanchfield. They're going to be without Mikey Carey. If Hugh Lawler's missing, if Owen Cody's missing, Adrian Mullen's missing, it's not a great way it's supposed to be going into championship. They'll get it together for championship, but I just think there are some questions that they'll need to answer. They have a reliance on Mossy Keown as well, and there's a few of them now kind of, I suppose, need to step up. And if they don't do it soon, you just don't know what way the year will go. 5 in a row Leinster champions as well, I suppose, which they're just always thereabouts. But I just feel this year, maybe they just won't have the strength and depth that they've had before. Like,
I wouldn't be feeling too sorry for them though.
there is no doubt about that. Rory,
they won't be down long. I mean, look, and what even is down from a Kilkenny perspective? It's just, look, they're not at the same imperious peak that they were there for so much of Shane's career, and like, they'd need to find a few answers. But I think they have plenty of time, Jacqui, because the way the Leinster Championship is configured, it'll give them an opportunity. It's like a soft launch, really. It's not like how Munster's going to be. I mean, the Munster Championship now, we might have all thought initially that the Munster Championship, Limerick, Clare, Cork, and look, we didn't really see a huge amount coming from Tipperary and Waterford. Well, that's all very much being turned on its head once again, and the Munster Championship is hotting up. Even from this vantage point. So but we wouldn't be getting any violins out for Kilkenny just yet.
Not yet. Speaking of the Munster Championship, what odds would you get now, Shane, of Clare not getting out of Munster?
Oh, Jeannie, I don't know.
Because it's not looking good. I mean, I know it's early, but still, at some point you have to go, there's a panic coming.
Yeah, at the start of the year, like, I'd be like Rory would have said Limerick, Clare, Cork. That would have been safe for most people. I just don't know, Jacqui. Like, I mean, at the moment, it just, I don't know. If it was a horse race yesterday, there might have been a stewards inquiry. It just felt from their body language, and there was a couple of instances in the game. Everyone knows the score. Like, it's 6 goals.
Were you at the game? You were at this game?
Yeah, I was at the game doing the radio. I was there. There a good bit before as well, watching the other game on telly there, and like 53 minutes gone, like, so there's 18 minutes to go in the game, and you can take off Brian Hayes and Shane Barrett, and they have 4-6 from play score between them, right? And Clare have their championship full back line, Adam Hogan, Conor Cleary and Conor Lean on. Now, Conor Cleary was a tough day at the office for him. It was his first day back after a long layoff with his shoulder surgery. So he found a hard going. He found Brian Hayes hard going, and they went after that. Cork went with 3 inside for a lot of it, which for the traditionalists, I suppose, they love to see, like, and they scored 6-20. So, but they left a lot of space in front of them. But the quality of ball they were giving in comparison to the quality of ball Clare were giving into Aidan McCarthy and Mark Rogers, like, the ball going into Mark Rogers and Aidan McCarthy was an absolute dirt. There's no other word to describe it. It wasn't here nor there. It wasn't hopping in front of them. It wasn't going to hand. It was just, they weren't working it at all out the field through the lines or getting it to the best man, the best position to deliver it in. And I just even think a couple of instances, Decky Dalton got a couple of points, lads, and whether Conor Lean was wrecked, whether they trained very hard, it just looked like, I said it yesterday, it actually need to be an insult to a challenge match to say that's what it was, because Jeannie, like, we were with Porrick there yesterday, and we've seen some crackers over the few years, together at matches. But like, we won't be talking about that one again anyway. And like, as I said, I was nearly worried for the camera person there up on the lift there behind the terrace, because they could have been in danger of falling asleep and falling off. Like, so that was what was going on, like, really. So like, it is worrying for Clare. Like, Clare have Tipp next, right?
Yeah.
And Tipp are going to try to get to
Tipp are in good form, yeah.
Tipp will be in great form. They're going to go for that. like you could say Clare have this and that to come back, okay? Like say David Mack, like they tried him yesterday, but he'd come off at half time, maybe another injury. Conor Lean looked to be carrying a bit of an injury. Peter Duggan came on and was doing brilliant. He was doing absolutely brilliant. The crowd loved him. He was getting on ball. He was working ferociously hard and then got his red card. But for me, it was just I don't know the Clare. You know, like did they want to be there yesterday? Like, which I know might sound very harsh to say, but going by their body language and the way they approached the game, for me, from being there, and just the crowd around, like that game was done and dusted at half time. It was 3-9 to 9 points. But even the way small things, look at the way Shane Barrett got in for his goal. Now his footwork and his burst of pace is phenomenal. I think he's a class act, Shane Barrett. I really do. And I think he would have been hurt about how the All Ireland final went last year for him and the job John Conlon did on him. So credit to John Conlon for that. He scored 1-4 from play yesterday, but he was so busy and he looked like he wanted to be involved in everything. But the way he got through for the goal, he just goes to pass 5 Clare lads, Jacqui. Like it was non-contact stuff. And normally down through the years, we're talking about Cork being the non-contact team. But yesterday, Clare did not lay it low. Like say, the only thing that happened really was like there was 5 yellow cards for needless stuff. Jerseys were getting ripped and all this off the ball. David Fitz's strike, he'll feel terrible for that today, no doubt about it. It was just a moment of madness, like David Blanchfield. Peter Duggan went in with the arm. But I mean, like as regards actually dispossessing Cork or turning them over, and it just wasn't there for me yesterday, and they just brought no fight with it all. It was worse than the Wexford game.
Yeah.
Because the Wexford game was a bit of a fight. I think yesterday was worse than the Wexford game from a Clare point of view. And like you're not getting any significant competitive game time now into a few of the Clare lads. It'll be internal stuff. I'd imagine the Munster teams are going to get challenge matches after Leinster teams over the next few weeks. I'd imagine that's going to be a no-brainer. That's going to happen. But you just can't beat the real competitive stuff. And look, there'll be a lot of soul searching in Clare now for the next few weeks. But I'm sure they will, like, they're a mature group, they'll find their way. But it's hard. To know how do you get it back up this week, Jacqui, I suppose is what I'm trying to say. Like.
See, that's the biggest question for me, Rory, because I think after they'd beaten Limerick, we thought maybe they'd turned the corner. But actually, I think Shane's right. This was worse than the Wexford performance. So they've actually taken a step backwards. And that's why I say I don't really know where they are. Are they going to get out of Munster? Because they were so poor at the weekend that it's actually hard to believe they were All-Ireland champions only a matter of months ago.
Yeah, the only caveat, I suppose, is that like you'd probably have to put some level of stock into the performance in the Gaelic grounds last week and how much that might have taken out of them to lift themselves to go in and play Limerick in there and to get a win. And it was, look, I suppose if you were from a management perspective looking at it, you're saying, look, we're capable of rising to the challenge and the level required when we need to. That's a fairly small straw to be clinging to, though, because ultimately,
look who Limerick. I know Clare were missing a few, but look who Limerick were missing. Rory.
Exactly, and like the difference that Sean and the difference, we saw Sean Finn coming back in, and the difference he makes immediately to that Limerick full back line. It's just night and day. But that's maybe a bit of a straw to clutch at from a Clare perspective. They definitely need to find form somewhere. A lot of their big players aren't playing. Like they have a little bit of form. Like they've never won All Irelands back to back. If you go back to 2013, they crashed and burned the following year. The last time they won an All Ireland, it's not necessarily, and they have their All Ireland. They won the league. They won the All Ireland. Like it's a difficult mountain. They're not the relentless machine that Limerick are, or that the Dublin footballers are, or that the Kilkenny hurlers were once upon a time. And Shane, you know better than anybody. Like going back to back or raising the gallop again to try and get up to the levels. No, you wouldn't be writing them off. Obviously, if I think from a Cork perspective, I would imagine Pat will look at that scoreline and treat it with a large degree of suspicion. Maybe even possibly contempt, and just say, not buying that now. Like they know that the real 2 points that are on offer are the ones in 6 weeks' time. And I don't think Pat would be stupid enough or foolish enough to get drawn into thinking that like Cork are some sort of finished article on the basis of a sort of a meaningless enough league game in the middle of March from their point of view. But look, they just went out and did their job. I think Shane mentioned internal competition. I think that's the key from a Cork perspective now. Like, I was kind of trying to pick my own Cork starting team in the championship, and by my reckoning, there was only 9. It was only 9 played, or started, sorry, yesterday against Clare, which will give you an indication of the strength and depth that they would have potentially coming back into the team at certain points in the future. We haven't seen Alan Connolly really at all. He's a player that I know that we will definitely see a lot more of. But yeah, like, it's very, very hard to read. I think Liam Sheedy made a very interesting point on League Sunday last night, Jacqui, in that, like, the league for him just doesn't fire. Despite the changes to the format, that there's just something very false about it. There's something very unreal. There were very one-sided games, lots of really big beatings, big margins between teams. Now, I think he was kind of putting it down to maybe the calendar and how the fact that it's so close to championship teams are just not really that interested in it anymore. I don't know what the solution there is, but yeah.
Do you think that's the same for everyone though? Like, look at the way Limerick are treating it. Like, they're bringing back people coming through the gears. Look at what they're finding. It's been unbelievable.
Yeah.
Look at the way Tipperary are going. I don't know if it's equal for everybody, you know?
Yeah, that is very true. I mean, like, you could have like the way things are shaping up now. You have a potential league final between Cork and Tip. I think effectively Cork Galway in that last round robin game is put in effect a league semi-final. Whoever wins that would most likely meet in the final. So
Limerick might still find themselves.
Limerick could still do, yeah. Obviously, they'd they'll relish the prospect of going to Nolan Park, which, you know, is not exactly the fortress that it once was. But yeah, look, I think it's still been a very worthwhile league from the management's perspective. I think, look, the nature of the competition, because it's a league followed by a league, means that sometimes the results do get skewed. And I think maybe yesterday in Ennis was one of those. I don't think Cork will be getting too carried away and throwing bouquets at themselves on their trip to Portugal, which I think they're hopping on the plane this morning. So,
nice.
So, like, I think it was, look, they got something out of it. It was good to see the form of the likes of the Brian Hayeses of this world, like getting a hat trick and all of that type of stuff. But I don't think to be getting too carried away.
Yeah, fair. Okay, so next weekend you've got Limerick Kilkenny. Then the following weekend is the final round: Limerick, Wexford, Cork, Galway, and Tipperary against Clare. Division 1B at the weekend, if we just quickly fly through the results: Antrim 4-22, Laois 21 points. Massive win for Antrim. Westmeath 24 points, Waterford 7-34, which is quite a score to rack up. And Dublin 2-29, Carlow 3-17. I think the biggest one really for Antrim, Shane, is that I guess now they know. We had Neil on the podcast on Thursday, and he was just kind of, I guess, just chatting about the difficulties that they have had in trying to stay at a level where they felt they had improved last year. I think the fact now that they know that they should be safe should allow them a little bit more breathing space to just try to spend the next few weeks getting themselves together and getting themselves ready for a Leinster Championship.
Yeah, but like some teams, I suppose, Jacqui, they realise that they need everyone. Like, you know, they have 18, maybe 19, you know, top level Lee McCarthy players, like, and they need all those guys, no more so than the Wexfords need all those guys as well. And when they don't have them, they just don't have the guys come in and replace them. But they'll take great confidence from it, you know. And the sickness that they got, they'll probably want to get it again maybe before a couple of championship matches, such as the response that they got from everybody for it. And but I think it had to be their biggest performance. I think internally they would have been hurting from what had happened to them. You know, they'd shipped a few big beatings, and they knew that if they didn't do it against Laois, who, like, for me, I could only see Antrim winning that game for a few reasons. I seen Laois at the start of the year against Tipp. Now, albeit they were probably missing players and all this, but like the beating that Tipp gave them, it was shocking stuff. Like, Tipp were over 40 points, I think they put up on the board, like, you know, and you're just looking at it going, like, where are they going to go from here? Like, and you talk about having players strength and depth. Laois don't have that either. They look seem to be lost at the moment. Just listen to Midlands even 103 there yesterday on the way down to Ennis on the radio. And even the lads, you know, commenting on the match just said, just Laois don't seem to know what to do here. They don't know whether to get it in. They don't know whether to work through the lines. Antrim were by far the better team. And Laois hadn't heard for, I think, nearly a month, Jacqui, before that match yesterday, between matches called off, had a bye week, and everyone was off for a week as well. So they just look to be absolutely lost there at the moment as well. And it's, I'll say no more so than Clare. There's some big soul searching to go on in Laois now over the next while. I think their next game is against Carlow, was the one was called off. And there'd be good rivalry there between Laois and Carlow, but at the moment you could only see Carlow winning that game. Like, so unless Laois can summon up the performance of the year for it. But yeah, they don't seem to be a good place. But well done to Antrim. They got the job done. Davy got the job done. But they needed it, Jacqui. He needed it as the manager. The players needed it as a group. And I'm sure they'll probably take a few days off now and be getting ready for the championship in 6 weeks' time. Like.
Yeah, big time. Let's finish off on one other good news story of the weekend. You saw what happened with Down. Obviously, huge win for them again at the weekend against Kerry. And suddenly they're facing into Division 1B next year. And I think just for the progress that goes on in some of these counties, Shane, sometimes it's very hard when we don't see these games, when you're trying to pick out what has been happening, where's the development, because we're not often exposed to watching these games on a weekly basis. But actually just seeing counties like this being able to get that kind of development, to get to Division 1B is enormous for the game of hurling in general.
It's massive, like, and Rory made a good point there before we went on here. Like, the potential games of maybe Clare and Wexford or Dublin, I think it'd be a no-brainer. I know as a player you might want to travel all the way up, but I think those games, get those games on up and down.
100%.
And get them promoted and get them out there, and have them on YouTube or have them on something if they can't be on main terrestrial television.
Well, you've got GAA Plus Go or whatever you want to call it. Like, I mean, this is an ideal opportunity, Shane, that like you have loads of great work. You have a massive opportunity now. You're talking about your HDC and your Willie Mars and all of these types of things. You now have a situation where you have a county that's emerging after doing great work and huge amount of work. Now they have a chance maybe to try and stay at that level. How are they going to do that? They're going to be certainly helped with games promotion, getting big gates, big crowds, developing interest in the sport up there, putting on a bit of a profile around it, games promotion, all of those types of things. So sending Clare, like most likely Clare would take a massive confluence of results for Clare to avoid relegation at this stage. So Clare and Dublin and Wexford, for them to be going up to Ballycran, I think would be great. It would be huge for hurling up in that neck of the woods. And you've an Ulster Derby now in Division 1B as well, which is fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. We actually went up, played Antrim up in Cushendall when Babs Keaton was the manager. And we went up the night before, and Babs was, he really liked us to go to Mass the morning of the match, and for some lads they might have gone to Mass from one end of the year to the other. And we were walking over to Mass where we were staying just over the road from the game, and it was near the sea, like. But this wave just came in, crashed off the wall. We got drenched, going into Mass. Priest was there saying, "Welcome to Tipperary team." When you look back at it now, like, it was so surreal, like, compared to what's going on now. And off we went and played the match anyway against Antrim. And like on a clear day, I think you can nearly see Scotland. But like it was not a clear day that day. It was spilling rain, and there was a massive crowd there. And Antrim were the better team for most of the game. And I'll wrap up the story anyway. I was injured that day. I wasn't supposed to play, like, at all. And I was doing water, and Dara Eden was taking the freeze, and I was running in and out to Dara with the towel to try to Hurley, right? And like I said, "Geez, you better nail this one now." I said, we can't go back down the road here and lose the Antrim. So that was it at half time anyway. And Babs comes up to me and says, "Have you the gear with you?" I says, "I did. I brought it anyway. Yeah, just for a few pucks of legs." Says, "Go in and put it on there." Says, "You're coming on in the second half." So I was doing a towel and water boy in the first half. I came on in the second half, but we got the win anyway. I think the great Obr's lad scored a couple of points to get his order line.
And how did you get on after the warm up of that in the first half?
Actually, Jesus, it's fair footy. No warm up, no nothing. Just I came in, got tugged off. Came on in the second half. We won. We great. I'll laugh about it now, like, but I'm just saying, like, that's, you're not going to have that. I don't think you'll have the Clare or Wexford lads going to Mass the morning of the match or anything like that, but you'd have that kind of buzz around.
Buzz. It's the buzz, yeah.
If I'm from down and I can get a chance to see, I know we're kind of
John Conlon and Tony Kelly and Lee Chin, and
this is a dream. And like, if the clubs up there, they love hurling so much. Yeah. They love it so much, and it would be massive for them to see these guys in the flesh, in their own pitch. So Yeah, should be good. Should be good. That's
It's a
really
good news story.
Good news
Yeah,
story.
it definitely is a great news story for a Monday. Right, lads, we will leave it there. Thanks very much, Shane. As always, entertaining, informative, and everything in between. Thoroughly enjoyed that chat. Myself and Rory will be back on Thursday to look ahead to all of the weekend's games. Don't forget to like and follow wherever you get your podcasts, and we'll talk to you later in the week.
Dublin lead by a point, and there's the